Hello, welcome to the Mediocre Takes podcast, the podcast where we share our mediocre takes on the shows and movies we watch. I'm Marco, and here's my co-host Mel. How are you doing, Mel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know,
Yeah.
you kinda ruined my day. So
How?
you told me information about our podcast.
Oh, yeah. 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 Anyways, so should I say? Actually, no, I'm not going to explain it. Basically, an episode got really popular that we didn't really want to get popular. You guys could take your guesses, but we're never going to tell you because the fan base is just kind of bad. Also, they made this character who is a person of color
Now you're just
have
giving the answer away.
no, I have to say this because okay, they just need to know this thing we were talking about, this podcast episode that got really popular, has this one character who's supposed to be like a certain ethnicity, but has no features or no backstory with that ethnicity at all, and it was poorly written into the story with that ethnicity. And the voice actor who voice acts this person is also not that ethnicity or race at all. So yeah, that's just a little hint. If you know, you know. Anyways, today we're talking about Batman Gotham Knight. This is a short story collection of a movie. Mal's dying. Yeah, we're just going to continue on like nothing happened. So this movie is basically 6 short stories in one movie. So I'll do a plot summary for each story of the movie, and we'll start off with the story, Have I Got a Story to Tell You? So in the first story, Have I Got a Story to Tell You? Basically, a skater kid is waiting for their friends at the skate rink, or like a private skate rink, it seems, when the three of them show up, all having seen Batman that day, telling their sides of the stories. Suddenly, Batman and the villains show up in this short story and just pop in kind of out of nowhere. When Batman is almost murdered, but the main character, B Devil, hits the villain with a skateboard and saves the day. Okay, so I was kind of confused on who the other versions of Batman were, because I don't know anything about the Batman lore. I was like, one of them's definitely Man Bat, and then there was just this robot and this shadow thing. I was so confused.
I think it was more like, I know that one of them was literally Man-Bat. I think the other 2 were supposed to, like, sort of symbolize how a kid would perceive Batman.
So you're thinking
Like
they weren't like actual real people, they were just Batman.
well, all of them were Batman, but, like, the fact that they all saw, like, different versions of him sort of, like, implies that, like, these are kids, and I feel like it totally makes sense for as children, they have, like, really wild imaginations, and they don't really have a full understanding of the world, so they would perceive Batman as, like, this, like, supernatural, like, monster robot thing.
Yeah, I can definitely see them like because they even mentioned they were exaggerating the story at some parts. So I also had a theory that maybe it wasn't actually like Man Bat or a robot or this shadowy figure, that maybe it was just Batman there all the time and they were just exaggerating, and they were just their brains, I don't know, they were misremembering things because that's how the brain works. I know most people will say that this is their least favorite story, and while I understand why this is people's least favorite story, I still really like this story. I liked how you got to see Batman through the lens of someone who is considered like normal, and how these normal kids all see Batman in a different way. And I actually didn't mind the ending. I actually kind of liked it. The animation was kind of ugly though, I will say that. I personally didn't love it. But yeah, this was a decent episode, or a decent short story.
Disgusting. How dare you? I loved the animation. The backgrounds were so beautiful, and I absolutely loved the contrast between that and how the people are drawn.
Okay, I will say I do also love the backgrounds. It was just specifically the characters I didn't like, the designs of them. It looked weird.
It's stylized. I liked it. What I did not like was the black scent coming from one of the white kids. That was weird. Which version of the Batman was your favorite?
I feel like the vampire one, the vampire looking one,
Man
the
Bat?
shadow one.
Oh
No, not
no,
Man Bat, the shadow one.
the ghosty one. Okay.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
one was yours?
Man Bat. Hey, can I switch my laundry real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll be right back. Entertain the people.
Anyways, should I add more context to the episode we don't like? The episode has like a lot of plays compared to the rest of our episodes, and it's honestly the reason why we hit 4,000 plays recently. We were taking a long time to get to 3,000 plays, and then suddenly it just shot up because the episode that we based it's just a one-off episode, but the content of this episode grew more, and there's more content about this show pilot movie. I'm not gonna say which one, but there was a lot more content about this show pilot slash movie. And yeah, That's probably why it blew up so much, but we're not kind of happy about it because we've decided we don't want to continue reviewing this series because of part of the representation and also part of the controversy between the creator. So I think it's pretty obvious which one we're talking about, but we're not going to say it because the fan base is terrible and would probably kill us. But we're going to say it, you know? Mel might cut that out, I'm not sure. Anyways, so the next short story is Crossfire, and in the story, two cops, ill, are arguing about whether or not Batman is trustworthy. Batman captures a criminal, and these two cops are going to send him to Arkham Asylum. On their way, they get stranded in the middle of a gang fight, and Batman saves the day. I'm tired of the one cop doesn't trust Batman plotline. First of all, cops are just gross. Second of all, I feel like this just feels like a tired plotline. I mean, they use this in the Batman animated series with Bullock, and I was already done with it when I got in like 5 episodes in. The fight scene was really cool. I know the prisoners of Arkham Asylum are like bad people for the most part, but I feel bad for them because Arkham looks like a place where they would torture you and not treat your problems. And honestly, that's just pretty much any jail, but I feel like this would be jail compounded like 20 times, or maybe 100 times.
So I did not like this, mostly because it got that shiny new anime look that I hate, and the story is just kind of shit and boring. Anna, one of the cops, saying that she's no longer afraid of being a cop because of Batman felt weird. Cause the type of Batman I like is the type that makes the police force look like the schmucks that they are. So for her to feel like good because Batman's there means that Batman is doing a bad job.
She should feel ashamed always, especially
Yes.
because Batman is the one who's still catching criminals. Literally, all this short story has proven is that Batman is better than the police right now. So I'm like, why does she feel proud? Like, has Batman like said something to her? Like, has Batman saved her life or something? Like, I don't know. We have at least gone a solid reason for why she feels that way, but she's just like, Batman's made me feel better. It was just strange.
Is this propaganda? Yeah, really, I think the only thing I liked from this short was Batman's suit.
Okay, the next short story is Field Test. In Field Test, Wayne Industries has created a new technology that can deflect bullets.
Lucius Fox from Star Labs.
Yeah, okay. Good point. I keep forgetting that they're different like companies or something. He goes to some charity that isn't that important to the plot. It's important to another short story because some of these short stories are, well, basically all of these short stories are connected, but it isn't important to the plot right now, except for a little scene where he steals like a PDA or something. He basically goes to like some kind of dock where basically these two groups of criminals have been, and he makes one of the boats crash in with the other, which causes the two criminal groups to fight. So Batman does this so he can take them both out when one of the bullets deflects from his new batsuit that he created with the new technology from Star Labs and accidentally hits one of the criminal's lackeys. Batman takes this lackey to the hospital and the day is saved. So this ends with Batman telling Lucius that he wants to own this technology and he's willing to risk his life for it, but he also doesn't plan on using it because he doesn't want to risk anyone's life. So I was kind of confused on why they had the whole golf tournament scene, but then I realized it's because these last 4 episodes all tie in with the Deadshot and Scarecrow plotline. Like the last episode, I think shows a picture of the activist who's heavily hinted that one guy hired Deadshot to have her killed. I think this episode is important for Batman's no killing rule. It's important to reinforce Batman's no killing rule. But other than that, I think this was just an okay short story. I did like that scene where like after the lackey is shot, he takes the two leaders and says, I'm gonna make you guys choose a part of land until I can find evidence to prove you guilty. That was really cool. And then they agreed. So yeah, I really like that. And that's pretty much it.
So, what I said about the animation in the previous short film applies to this one too. Why is it so shiny? Also, what the fuck did they do to my handsome man Bruce Wayne? Why did they make him look like some limp wristed femboy? Especially since this is supposed to be Bruce Wayne between the films Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. So, like, there's literally zero reason for them to make him look like that.
Why'd they make his hair look like that?
I don't know. This is oh my god.
They gave him
Whatever.
generic anime character vibes.
Exactly. Exactly. It's honestly, I feel offended. Also, his suit looked jank as fuck. Like, what was that cowl? What his eye, dude? Like the eye and the cowl. Yeah. This was a horrible short, in my opinion.
Is the only reason because they made him like an anime twink?
Well, that and, like, I don't know,
Was
it was
the
just
story not like
boring.
substantial? Was it? Yeah, was it not substantial enough?
Yeah, it was boring and it was ugly.
The next short story is In Darkness Dwells. So, a priest gets kidnapped during a sermon. Batman goes into the sewers to find where the sermon is and ends up finding Killer Croc, who has been put on fear toxin by Scarecrow, and he ends up biting Batman. Batman defeats Scarecrow and saves the priest, but leaves before the police can like heal his wound. And this will later come in with, I believe, one of the next short stories that takes place shortly after this. I really wish we got more of Killer Croc in this story. I feel like we don't see enough of Killer Croc in general, and well, at least I don't. I'm not sure how often Killer Croc has shown up in like media, TV. I just kind of want to see him more. You know what? I don't know, like a cool lizard dude who like eats people. I don't know, something about that just seems nice to me. I really like the line where one of the people living in the sewer asks what Gotham looks like from the sky, and Batman says it looks dirty. Kevin Conroy is such a good Batman voice actor. I really love his voice. I feel like Scarecrow was defeated a bit too easily in this episode. Like he just kind of stood there, you know? Batman was beating up all the people Scarecrow put fear toxin in, and it was basically like mind controlling. And while he was beating them up, like Scarecrow was just like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Also, I feel like his design could have been better. I don't know how you feel about that. How do you feel about it, Scarecrow's design?
Give me a second, because I don't even remember. Look at that goofy little guy. Oh, what's with his eyeball? I think it looks stupid, but he just looks goofy.
Dumb in a good way.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, now this animation I can vibe with. Beautiful backgrounds, the shading on the characters, the sort of like grainy matte filter they put over it. Love it. I guess everyone sort of looks goofy in this. Batman definitely looks goofy, but I really liked him. I will say, I agree with you. I do miss Killer Croc. I haven't really seen him in a while, so it was nice to see him again.
We need more Killer Croc. Sign that petition today. The next short story is one I was talking about that like links directly right after In Darkness Dwells, and that is Working Through Pain. Working Through Pain. I for some reason I wrote is Working Through Pain is asexual to Darkness Dwells when I meant to write sequel.
I mean, if you're into pain, it could be sexual.
In the story, Batman is looking into his past where he was studying abroad. He meets a woman named Cassandra who attempts to help him work through his pain, but Cassandra realizes that she has failed Bruce because his pain was too much for her to be able to help with, and she realizes that his pain is leading him to a path he wants to walk on. While we are getting flashbacks, Batman finds a stash of guns that he didn't know was there, and he grabs all the guns and holds them, and while he's holding them, Alfred shows up and Alfred says, "Sir, like grab my hand," or something like that, and Batman says he can't. So Bruce is helping with the relief effort in India, and they're doing surgery. And can we talk about the fact that the patient doesn't have any anesthetics and is literally shaking in pain? And like what I hate about this so much is like Bruce is literally so rich that he could have paid to give these people anesthetics during surgery. This is like a really big nitpick, but literally gonna rant about this for a little. Like you guys, this man's chest was literally open, and for those of you who don't know what an anesthetic is, it's basically a drug to numb pain used during surgery. Also, the patient should not be awake during surgery. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? I don't know. It was so weird. I was freaked out. I really love the way they use Cassandra in this story, but at the same time, I don't love the fact that they added Cassandra in this story. I'm not Indian, but this did feel a bit racist. Like, who thought it was a good idea to teach the white man their ways? It's just something that I felt weird about. I don't know how other people would feel about it, but something about it just felt off to me. I really like the ending where Cassandra realizes that Bruce's pain is leading him to a path that he's choosing to go to, and I really like the ending where Batman finds the guns and like realizes that there's something going on under his nose the whole time and thinks it's his fault.
I really wasn't expecting for one of the first scenes in this short to be Bruce Wayne fingering some guy's hole with his dirty glove.
Really a sexual sequel.
Yeah, this short does have one thing that I love, which is seeing Batman literally dying. Also, he got them freak ass blue eyes, which I absolutely hate. Everyone knows that Bruce has brown eyes. And I think in general his face just looks so bad in this. It genuinely looks like someone's who's never seen a white person tried to draw one. Anyway, I don't care how long you've trained. No one can take a glass bottle to the back of the head and then take down 5 people with knives. I don't know, I think it's just because, like, I've found out, like, how tough glass really is, that, like, the illusion of, like, breakaway glass that they use in movies and stuff, just it doesn't work for me anymore because whenever someone gets hit with, like, a glass bottle and it breaks, I'm like, "That probably wouldn't have happened."
Okay, so the last story is Deadshot. In this, Deadshot is pretending to assassinate Commissioner Gordon, when in reality he's just pretending to assassinate Commissioner Gordon to bring out Batman, who is his real target. Deadshot acts like a piss baby once his handgun is destroyed and is defeated. Okay, so I kind of like said this already, but like, why did they make Deadshot kind of lame in this movie? Like, maybe it's the fact that I only know Deadshot from the Batman animated TV show and from the Batman Arkham games, but I feel like he was way cooler in that media. I don't know, like, why after being defeated he like begs for forgiveness and grovels. Like, he's a literal assassin. I feel like he could have like not outsmart his way, like obviously because it's Batman, but I feel like he should have acted like more, I don't know, tough. It felt weird, especially because he looked like he was about to cry or something, and then Batman just kind of punched him. Just act less lame, Deadshot. That's all I have to say. That's my notes. I'm actually surprised that they showed blood in this, but it was cool. I kind of saw it coming that Batman was going to be the real target because when they first mentioned Gotham, they were talking about the next assassination, and I was like, well, Batman, because he's the only one who solves crimes. But then they chose Commissioner Gordon, and I was like, I think this could be going somewhere decent, but then they just changed the direction again. I still think it's a decent way to end the story off, though.
The first thing I could think of when I saw the opening close-up of Batman's face was Archer from the show Archer. Just something about the animation style was, like, so spot on for me. With, like, the animation, the backgrounds just looked so lovely. The faces, though, the faces? They all looked like JoJo characters. Batman punched a bullet, and that made me cackle. It would have been so funny if Deadshot and Batman recreated the car scene in Hereditary while on the train, and that's the only thing I could think of when I saw that scene. That's it.
Overall, I think this is an okay movie. Some of these short stories were really good, some of them weren't. I feel like overall it's still a decent movie. If I would have to choose a least favorite, I don't know if I could choose a least favorite. Actually, no, Crossfire is my least favorite. I just do not like the I don't trust Batman as a police officer plotline, and I also just don't like the police in general. So this just felt like something that didn't really need to be there. I will say I did like how that same police officer who didn't trust Batman showed up later in another short story. I just really like how all of these short stories were connected in some way, except for the first one. I definitely want to see more Killer Croc next time. In Darkness Dwells was decent, but I still feel like we could have seen a lot more of the villain because there was just a fight scene and that kind of ended. Yeah, my favorite would definitely have to be Walking Through Pain, most because I feel like at least the psychological side of Batman was really shown through that episode. Even though I feel like I didn't like the way they wrote Cassandra sometimes, I still found it to be a decent episode, and I really liked the ending of that episode.
This was a great mix of stories. I really like that each had a different art style. I think that my two favorites were Have I Got a Story for You and In Darkness Dwells, mostly because of the animation style.
Okay, Mel, I've been telling you this before, and I'll tell you it again. If you had to predict where on the tier ranking, because we will be tier ranking this once we finish watching every Batman movie that's on our list, from S to F, where would you predict this movie will be ranked?
So, ranking this one was tough because I either loved or hated the short. So, what I did was I individually ranked them and then I took the average and it came out to a C. But I think it may go higher, maybe to a B in the final rankings, but for now it's a safe C.
I don't see this getting any higher for us than a C than me. I feel like you definitely liked a lot of the stories a lot more than me, but overall, I think this is pretty decent, and I can see why people would love this. However, I think this is a pretty disliked movie for some reason. At least that's what I've seen so far from other people talking about this movie, but I kind of disagree. I feel like this was a pretty decent movie, and I could definitely see people being fans of this movie. Yeah, I feel like it's just a C. It didn't really stick with me, though there were moments that were really well written and that really will stick with me. Yeah, C.
Okay. These stories from Bruce's past sure were something, but it's time to move from the past and into the present. And oh, look at the time. It's Mediocre Minute o'clock. What's that? Well, It's a tiny little micro moment where me and Marco recommend books, comics, music, games, and more for you all to check out. So, my recommendation is Batman Gotham Knight. I think what I love most about this comic is that we were shown that it's Bruce's love for people that has turned him into Batman. It's the pain he feels when the people he loves are hurt, and it's his big heart that makes him want to prevent that pain from happening to others. Which, seeing the origins of Batman is actually so interesting because I feel like you get a bigger understanding of why Batman is the way he is instead of just seeing him at face value and being like, okay, yeah, so he just wants to punch people because he's angry because his parents died. And like, I don't know, it's a little bit more than that. I loved the focus on love specifically. Just because I feel like there are a lot of people who want to take Batman at face value and be like, oh yeah, I just really love him when he punches people. So that's my recommendation. Marco, what's your recommendation?
I just want to say we all know what kind of people want Batman to just punch people.
It's the same people who
Think Star Wars
support
isn't political.
and support cops and also love the Punisher.
Yes, definitely. Anyways, my recommendation is a little, well, actually big book called Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. And before you guys judge me, because Veronica Roth is the author of the Divergent series, which is terrible, Chosen Ones is actually a really decent book, and I really love it. So this is 10 years after 5 teenagers have saved the world from this person called the Dark One. Very generic name, I know, but basically it's about them like grieving over like someone who has died recently because they're basically these like five turn out people who have fought the Dark One and survived and been traumatized by it. So recently someone has died who was one of the five people who survived, and it's about them like grieving over them, but while they're grieving over them, the Dark One returns, and it's basically like a parallel world situation, and it's about the main character fighting the Dark One. And the ending is what really sold me on this book. The ending is really good. I really love it. And it's actually a huge inspiration for my book idea, which was why I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, wait a minute, this book I should recommend it. So yeah, it's really good. I really recommend it. I want to read Veronica Roth's other book, Poster Girl, because I feel like that book is also would be like really interesting to read and would probably give me inspiration for my book idea once again. But I'll let you guys know if I ever read that, because I'll probably recommend it if I do. But yeah, it's a really good book, and that's my recommendation. Anyways, you guys, that's our thoughts on Batman Gotham Knight. If you want to send us a voice message on Spotify for podcasters, there'll be a link in the description to do so below. We also have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which are at MiddakeSpot. And that's everything. So goodbye.
Slay.